And we're live. Pep Talk UK. As ever, joined by J Alby. First of all, how are you, mate?
I'm all good. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you perfectly, unlike last week where I think I was playing up, wasn't I? But everyone who's already in, it's absolutely massive news today, isn't it, really? Just about to get fight week started. Just about to enjoy it all play out. And now there's some serious question marks. For anyone who don't know, Tom Saunders, Billy Joe Saunders' dad has come out saying there's been serious problems and arguments over the size of the ring. Jay, what's your take on this? Just give us your initial reaction.
Oh, it's crazy stuff that's happening at the moment. Anything to spice up fight week just got over the weekend. Now all this. I don't even know if there's a fight at the moment. I don't know if you can tell me.
I wish I could. No,
it's crazy stuff. I've just seen that Billy Joe didn't turn up to the first face-off or whatever they were meant to do today. So that's a big statement. So we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, so obviously it's breaking news. So I'm going to be checking up as we're live to see how the story plays out because it's huge. I'm sure you'll agree it's one of the biggest fights of the year. A fight, as fight fans, we've all been looking forward to for years, hoping and praying that one day Billy Joe Saunders would get his shot at Canelo. And we're touching a distance away from it, and it could be taken away from us now, Jay.
Yeah, 100%. I'm hoping it's just mind games, a bit like Fury when it fought Klitschko. I thought that was a clever trick. Play the mind games with the ring, but you would have thought that this would have got sorted ages ago. You wouldn't have thought fight week there would have been a debate about the size of the ring. You would have thought in the contracts at the beginning that this would have been sorted. So, well, I don't know. It's deflated me a little bit, but I haven't had no official announcement. I haven't heard Eddie Hearn come out and make a statement. I've not heard anything like that. So at the moment, it's fight on, but obviously the statements come out from Billy Joe's father that the fight is off, but we're just waiting to see for official confirmation, I guess.
Definitely. We've got comments coming in already. Stay with us tonight. It's a big night of boxing news, breaking news. Oija Bald says he said he would fight in a phone box. Now complains about the ring size. What a fighting man. Obviously, sarcastic comments from there. What do you think about it, Jay? Do you think he's right to complain about the ring size?
Well, the ring size, like I was saying, should have been sorted way before today. So I don't know what the debate's about really with the ring size. That's like I say, it might be mind games. Maybe there's an agreement on the ring size because Canelo was at the face-off today, so obviously he's still fighting. So, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, a bigger ring would suit Billy Joe's style. A smaller ring would suit Canelo, but it's a situation that should have been sorted ages ago. Not this week, not a few days before the fight. So, yeah, I want to see Eddie come out with a statement, and then obviously we'll probably know what's going on after that. But
yeah, we're going to be
a bit deflating.
Definitely. We're going to be joined by my guest later, and we'll get right into it about fight week mind games, comparing it to Tyson Fury's chance against Klitschko with the ring, sponge ring, and even comparing it to last week with Chisora refusing to walk out first, and then obviously he went back on that refusal. Haydar Mahmoud says Billy wants a fair fight and fair play to him wanting a bigger ring and not showing up to the face-off. Not just showing up to the face-off, there's been a lot made about the refusal of media. Shall we say, Eddie Hearn said it in an interview last week and the week before that Billy Joe's refusing to do any media for the fight. And yesterday on Tom Saunders' first interview with IFL, he addressed that and said it's because they was training in Las Vegas. What do you make of that, Jay? If you're a fighter, do you think you should be doing media all the time?
Depends what's in the contracts. I don't know what's in the contracts. I don't know what they're obliged to do. It's up to the fighter, I guess. It's the fighters that are fighting. Maybe it was the right thing to do. It's the biggest fight of his career, so let him focus on the fight. I don't know I don't know. It's the mind games. I don't know if it's because they can't stifle Canelo. Maybe this is a way to try and stifle him fight week. But I just wish they all would focus on the fight. Really, it's just pathetic. The ring should have been sorted ages ago. Yeah, I don't know. It's until Eddie comes out, I don't know really what more can say unless Billy Joe comes out or there's an announcement from Canelo. I heard the fight is cancelled. I just seen there in the comments.
Yeah, Ruben Joseph.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're talking about now. So, until there's an official confirmation, let's stay positive. Let's hope we still see a fight. I'm hoping so. I'm excited still, but like I say, it's just a bit deflating hearing that it might be off. So, fingers crossed, eh?
Yeah, definitely. Pep Talk UK live stream tonight covering the breaking news of serious question marks over the massive fight of the weekend between Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and let's get your comments coming in. We'll read them all out tonight. Danny Godfrey, is this going down or not? That's a big question, and I certainly want to know it. I know you want to know it, Jay.
Yep.
Everyone in the whole boxing world wants to know it. Fans, pundits, everyone alike wants to know whether this fight is happening. If you were to make a decision now, Jay, judging by what we've seen over the past couple of days, is it happening in your opinion?
No, it's tough because
yeah, sorry, putting you in the spot there.
Yeah, no, and I think with Billy Joe now, if they say something, they're probably going to keep to their word. So it's hard to think otherwise. But like I say, there's no official confirmation yet. Canelo turned up to the face-off, so that's promising. So obviously, in his mind, there's still a fight. Yeah, I reckon just 50-50 at the moment. So have to see how the next few hours play out. Hopefully tonight while we're on here, we might get some more news, some more confirmation. Obviously, we'll keep looking out, seeing if we can see anything. But I don't know, maybe the guest later might have some more information.
Yeah, definitely. E. Howie says, not a chance this fight is cancelled. He obviously is swaying on the side of mind games, just pre-fight, trying to build the fight up, a bit of drama like we saw last week. But I don't know. I think there's certainly a feeling with a lot of people that this is real. And there was certainly some emotion showed by Tom Saunders in the interviews with Andrew McCart for IFL TV over the past couple of days. But with that in mind, Jay, being a father, I know you're a father to young children. Would you be that emotionally attached to just wanting your son to have a fair crack at the whip?
Yeah, obviously, definitely, you want a fair crack at the whip, don't you? But I think with Billy Joe Saunders and their family, they're fair, aren't they? And the traveller background and everything, they want it fair, which is fair enough, I think. Like I say, the ring should have been sorted ages ago. They should have been in the contract. Both fighters at the time should have said, this is the size of the ring. It's part of the contract negotiation. So maybe it's a PR spin by everybody, even Eddie's involved, and it's to get people. Oh, was that a comment? Oh, fight was the ring not.
Yeah. TT 101, fight off because ring size not approved by Chisora's mum. And my friend actually texted me that earlier, said, get Chisora's mum on the firm. She'll sort it all out, as we saw last week. But certainly there needs to be some kind of mediation. And by the sounds of it, it needs to happen pretty quick.
Yeah, no, I don't know. That's what I mean. Maybe it is a PR stunt. Maybe everyone's involved. It's to build the fight up a little bit more. You never know. All things happen in boxing. So, like I say, until I hear from Eddie Earn or DAZN or maybe Billy Joe himself or Canelo, I'm still going to say it's still on because Billy Joe's dad did say if they pulled a finger out, it would go ahead still. So,
yeah,
you never know. Maybe there's some negotiations still taking place. I saw an Instagram post a couple of hours ago, not long after the IFL statement was released online. Billy Joe saying he was having a stroll and he looked like he was at the stadium. So I was surprised he wasn't at the face-off. But like I say, mind games, yeah, maybe it could spice it up a bit. But until we know, everyone's on the edge of their seat and everyone's talking. So it's good for boxing in some way, but bad if the fight don't happen. So fingers crossed it does happen.
Certainly, Al's Hill or Al Shield says, oh, we just lost that one. There we go. Aren't management supposed to sort all of this out prior to signing the contracts? And like you've said, Jay, you wonder why this hasn't been sorted out. And it's not something that comes up regularly about sizes of the rings. I know it was played a big part in the Joshua Ruiz 2 rematch, but obviously because there was a lot made about the ring being big for AJ to move around the ring, if I remember rightly. But yeah, is it the sort of thing that you would be worried about, Jay? Is it the type of thing that would come up a lot?
I think it happens more regularly than what people think. I think I saw an interview with Robert Garcia talking about things he's learned over the years about the rings. Like he checks the ropes because sometimes fighters get the ropes loosened so they can lean back on the ropes, so it's harder for the aggressive fighter to pick them up when on the ropes. I've seen that the mats are softer for boxers who like to box and move to tire them out after a couple of rounds. It all sorts happened, don't they? Klitschko had it with Fury. They changed the padding on the ring before the fight. Yeah, it probably happens quite more frequent than often, but it should be something sorted in the contracts. It's something so minute that shouldn't even really be spoke about fight week. So yeah, it's crazy. Some people say a ring's a ring, but for different styles, different size rings matters. So it does matter in some sense, but it should have been a neutral agreement at the beginning. The size ring's going to be 20 foot, 22 foot, whatever it is, and that's that. So yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a circus at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah, George Stanley says, I think Billy Joe it is right. If Canelo's pound for pound king and meant to be the best fighter in a bigger ring, no 18-foot ring, he's not an amateur. And I know Tom Saunders was saying a lot about amateur size ring, and it's not something I'm an expert on. I don't study sizes of rings because, like you say, it's something that should be sorted out way before fight week. Because
Oh
it's
yeah, 100%.
certainly, I
100%.
think, if this isn't a PR stunt, I think Billy Joe Saunders needs to. It would be stressing him out. It'd be stressing any fight out if this isn't a PR stunt, because you've trained the hardest you've ever trained in your career. We see it. He looks like he's trained the hardest. He looks phenomenal. Everyone said that he's a different fighter and he's so up for it. And then you've got this big burden over a huge fight. Obviously, probably the biggest payday of his career, the biggest fight of his career, his chance at complete and utter greatness. Surely, Jay, it's not something you want to be worrying about. What are we, 5 days away from the fight?
Exactly, that's what I said. It should have been in the contract. Surely there's somewhere in the contract where it does say the size of the ring, or it might say in the contract that the ring size will be negotiated fight week, but that would be something stupid, I would have thought. Do you know what I mean? Like, look at the fuss it's caused already. I don't know. Like, Eddie Hearn really needs to come out. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know whether he's in isolation or the bubble or whatever, but he needs to release a statement because it's not fair for the fans, really. I don't think. Worrying. It's not fair for Billy Joe Saunders or Canelo. Yeah, I can see both points as well. So it's a difficult situation, but it should have been sorted ages ago, like everyone else is probably thinking.
Certainly, guys. Keep your comments coming in. Smash the like button. Pep Talk UK. We're just going to be going over this tonight. It's huge news. Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo Alvarez. Yeah, it's got to be one of the biggest fights of the year. It's a fight that we all cannot wait for, and we're just praying it goes ahead. And we'll get, as news comes in, we will bring it to you as fast as we possibly can. But just very, very briefly, going away from the ring. Actually, let's just address this comment here. David Sánchez, British Boxing Board of Control, ring rules. Size won't be smaller than 16 foot or longer than 20 foot. Google it. Billy's scared. He knows he's going to lose. What do you think, Jay? Is Billy scared of this fight? Do you think he's trying to conjure up some excuses before the fight goes ahead? Maybe he's said about the judges that people kind of said about. He's now saying about the ring size. I'm sure we'll be coming on to Canelo's ham wraps, which Tom Saunders mentions in an interview later. But what do you think? Do you reckon this could be a stunt to maybe get an excuse before the actual fight?
No, 100% not. No, definitely. Why would a man train so well? Look at the physique that Billy Joe Saunders has got himself into. He's trained extremely hard, so I definitely don't think he's scared to fight anyone. He's a fighter, so that's out of the equation for me. I think it's mind games, to be honest. Like I said earlier, that's what I'm going with. I think it's mind games. Play some mind games before the fight. He's got to try and get an edge. He's got 70,000 fans that are going to be against him on fight night, cheering Canelo on. Obviously, there's arguments about the judges. Your comment there about the ring on the comments there. I googled it earlier because I wasn't too sure about the ring size, and yeah, it did say 16 foot to 20 foot. So I know Billy Joe's dad said that 18 foot's an amateur size ring, so obviously it isn't from what it says on Google. But yeah, obviously the bigger size ring is going to suit Billy Joe's style. He's slick. He wants to get in. He wants to move. He wants to get in, get out. And obviously Canelo wants to cut the ring off. So yeah, so both men are going to try and get their advantages. It's a big fight. I think it's one of Canelo's hardest fights to date, especially since the Floyd Mayweather fight. I thought the Callum Smith fight would have been hard, but obviously he proves on the night that he was a little bit of a level above and was quite comfortable for him over 12 rounds. So yeah, I think both men are going to be in for the fight of their life. I just think it's mind games. I think it will go ahead. But come on, Eddie. Let's get a statement out there and let's get excited for the weigh-in and the press conference for the rest of the week.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get the motions back rolling because we all want this huge fight. Just finding this comment here. Real Dancehall fan says, anyone, could you let me know if the ring size can be changed before Saturday? And I'm assuming it can be changed. I'm assuming they can get another ring in pretty sharpish. They've got 5 days to do so. But but yeah, it's such a strange one. It is such a strange one. We've got another one there, Mick T, ring Derek Chisora's mum. Obviously very topical at the minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jay, just very quickly coming away from the ring, do you think it is stacking up against Billy Joe? Do you think everything is going in Canelo's favour, like Billy Joe, Tyson Fury, Tom Saunders has been saying over the past couple of weeks?
I don't know. I don't really know the ins and outs of it, to be honest. I don't know whether it's like I say, mind games, or I've just been thinking most of it's been mind games. None of the press or anything like that, and like the world against Billy Joe Saunders. That's the mentality that they're going with. That's the mentality that he's had most of his career, and it's got him this far. So yeah, I just think, like you say, Tyson's the king of the mind games. He's part of Billy Joe Saunders' like group of friends and that he has, the close buddies. So yeah, it's definitely tactics, but yeah, the ring size, it's definitely confusing, and that it's definitely something that we probably didn't expect. But I can't really see it being an issue. A fight of this magnitude, biggest fight of the year, the biggest fight for Billy Joe Saunders, the biggest fight for Canelo, like we said. So yeah, I'm praying, fingers crossed, it still goes ahead. I don't know your thoughts about it, Joe. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's such a strange one, and it's one that I certainly am so emotionally invested in this fight because, from my perspective, Billy Joe's one of the first fighters that I've probably followed from the very, very start of his career. And I've wanted him to have his opportunity for so long now, and it's worrying. It is worrying, and we've got lots of comments coming in about people's opinions saying it's not going ahead, it is going ahead, which is great because it gets people talking, and that's what I hope it is. I hope it's just a ploy to get people talking. But as I say, I'm a bit concerned. I am a bit concerned. But guys, smash that like button. Let us know what you think. Tony Lyons, he says it's Team Billy's fault for not having it in the contract, and we come back to this contract again because I believe in the first interview Tom Saunders done, he said that it was in the contract. And I think he obviously made a mistake there and confirmed in today's interview that it actually isn't in the contract, and they're negotiating it now. Now I don't know why they are. As we say, it's far too late.
Crazy.
It is crazy, Jay. You're correct. It's crazy. But they're saying negotiations have come to a halt. They're not budging.
I don't see why Canelo can have the final say. I don't think that is fair. Do you know what I mean? I don't think Canelo can say the ring's 18 foot. That's what it's going to be. It should be a media, maybe Eddie Earn saying, look, this is what the ring size is going to be. Are you happy? Are you happy? And then you negotiate. So it's being portrayed that Canelo saying it's got to be 18 foot or 20 foot at the most. Billy Joe Saunders' team want 24 foot or 22 foot. So I don't know. They just need to sort it out. Like I say, I think it's maybe a PR stunt where it's a bit of mind games, bit of momentum going into fight week. Yeah, let's see what everyone else thinks in the comments. Now you've got your questions and that, get them in.
Yeah, definitely.
Debate about it. See if any news breaks while we're online, and we'll go from there.
Definitely, we're going to have more guests later. The panel's going to grow, and we're going to get loads of opinions. We are going to get loads of opinions. A lot of reactions coming in. The Joker says, I've been told Billy fought David Lemieux in a 20-foot ring. So what's the issue? I don't know what size ring he fought David Lemieux in. And obviously, David Lemieux's probably in his top 3 performances of all time.
Yeah.
Probably Billy Joe's. And again, I'll ask you the question. What is the issue? I know Tom Saunders says he's taken away his legs. But what do you think, Jay? Is it taking away his legs, and is it putting Billy Joe at a disadvantage?
Well, the bigger the ring, the bigger advantage for Billy Joe Saunders, isn't it? Like, it's 2 different style fighters, so for Canelo. The smaller the ring, the better. The bigger the ring, better for Billy Joe Saunders. So yeah, they're both looking for their advantages, which any fighter is going to look for in a fight. So yeah, so you can't really argue with both guys. But like I say, this should have been argued at the beginning when the contracts were first being negotiated, not fight week. So that's the disappointment. So yeah, it's just ludicrous. It's just boxing, in it. It's just an entertainment. We saw it with Derek Chisora last week, saying he's not walking to the ring first. I wouldn't be surprised if there's something like that after this. There'll be a situation where they'll probably argue about who's coming in first. We had the comments about the raps, which is a fair comment. You know what I mean? If he's heard that, but like I heard, and like he was told, a member of each team's always in the other guys' changing rooms when the raps are being done and the gloves and that. So there's always going to be a member of each person's team there. So I don't think that should be an issue. But yeah, just keep your eye out, make sure there's no tricks going on. But in this day and age, I don't think much like that goes on. But there's stories that you hear online and that. But yeah, just a fair fight. I think Billy Joe Saunders is right. Just make it a fair fight, and everyone will be happy. So there to be great, and I hope he pulls it off.
Certainly. And Rigo says Billy Joe wants to run around the ring, and we all know Billy Joe's a fantastic boxer, and that's what he is, and that's what Tom Saunders says. He wants to box Canelo. He wants to box his way to victory. So yeah, it could potentially take away part of his game, like Tom Saunders says, taking his legs away. But just looking into the comments yesterday made about the ham wraps, made in about the Mexican meat, and I don't want to get into the whole Mexican meat thing because it's old news and it's been dealt with rightly or wrongly. It's not for us to say, I feel. But do you feel like Tom is right to make those comments? Because I've seen some comments saying that it is disrespecting the pound for pound king at the minute in Canelo. What do you think? Do you think he's right to be making it, or is it slightly disrespectful?
No, if you've heard that, then you're going to have to question it. So he's heard that, and it's his dad, so he's questioning it. So which that's fair enough as a parent and as someone that cares about his son. He wants to make sure, because Canelo's got previous with a tainted supplement that he said that was taken. That wasn't his fault in a meet. So it's not like there hasn't been any issues before. So there's always going to be questions that are going to be asked about a certain fighter when you've failed a drugs test. But that's down to the drug testing people. If he passes every test before the fight and after the fight, then you can't argue with anyone. Everyone's done what they need to do. So unless it's a failed test, I wouldn't worry about that. But yeah, it's crazy with the raps, because you had the Deontay Wilder with Fury, didn't you? Saying that there was things in his gloves, there was excuses there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past you. By Saturday, probably Saturday just before the fight, there'd be an issue with maybe the softness of the mats or something like that, like with Klitschko. So you'd have the issue now with the size of the ring. That will get sorted, and then there'll probably be another incident. I wouldn't be surprised maybe with the softness of the ring. So yeah, look, there could be mind games all week. So everyone look forward to it.
Yeah, I hope we do look forward to more mind games, and I hope this isn't really happening, because Tom Saunders said they could fly home today even, which would just be an incredible shame. Big A says, if it wasn't in the contract, then what the hell was MTK thinking? It's obviously been a big topic of conversation already, 26 minutes into the live, about if this wasn't in the contract, is it poor management? Jay, I know you've said it should have been. It really should have been. Guys, let us know. Yeah, it's got to be sorted. A fight of this magnitude, every single detail needs to be finely tuned. Yeah. And that is a shame that we're coming to this now. And I think, if anything, it will show people and make people kind of understand that the lengths the likes of Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua have to go through in their contract to make sure every tiny thing is covered. Because we've seen Eddie Hearn say about contracts going back and forward for the big fight between Joshua and Fury. So this just shows that everything, and I mean absolutely everything, needs to be covered. Because if stuff gets missing in a fight of this magnitude, then there could be some serious money lost. Because like Tom Saunders says, if you're attending the fight, make sure you get your money back. If you're buying the zone, make sure you get your money back. And you can just imagine how bad it would have been if fans were allowed to attend and British fans had flown over.
Yeah. No, that'd
It'd been
be
absolutely
crazy.
catastrophic. So, Jay, if this doesn't go ahead, how bad is it for boxing?
Be horrific. It'd be like at the weekend in the football with the Man United Liverpool game. I know it's different with protesters, but it was a sporting event that didn't happen at the weekend. It'd be terrible for two massive events not to happen in 1 week, especially for Sky. No, it's not on Sky Sports, it's the Zone. So, but on the Zone platform. But yeah, that would be absolutely crazy. I don't think it won't not go ahead. I think it will definitely happen. I think it definitely will fight. I think that Canelo will probably reason in the end. He'll probably go 22 foot. Yeah, it will get resolved, but I think Eddie needs to come out. Like I say, he's the only person that can really say anything. But Eddie's never really had any other problems like this on any of his shows before, so I'm quite surprised that it actually has happened. But yeah, obviously Billy Joe's father's just looking out for him. So yeah, let's just see how it plays out. It's crazy stuff. There's loads of comments coming in, obviously. So I don't know if we want to get
Yeah.
through some of them, Joe.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely get them through. But first of all, absolutely huge thank you to Sakuya Azayoy for their $5 super chat, and that is hugely appreciated. And we do thank everyone for not just commenting, not just their super chats, but their constant support for Pep Talk UK. So keep those comments coming in and smash that like button. And their question / statement is: the problem is boxers don't want to take on challengers. Canelo fought Floyd when he was young, weight drained, paid way less. And then we have these boxers. What do you think? Do you think boxers often avoid boxers, Jay? Do you think this could be a case? But then there's a counter argument. But Canelo just wants to become undisputed because he's been so vocal about becoming undisputed in the middleweight division. So do you
No,
think
100.
fighters avoid each other, Jay?
I think certain fighters do get managed in different ways by their promoters, and I think sometimes they're taking up different routes. Maybe sometimes they are protected. You definitely can't say Canelo's protected since he's fought Floyd. He's fought Callum Smith, Kovalev, Danny Jacobs, Triple G twice, Khan, Lara. He's had some great fights. And he fights regularly. He's a fighter man, Canelo, so you can't argue with him doing it. But with other fighters, with coronavirus, I think that's helped boxing. It's made the 50-50 fights that everyone's been wanting. So in a bad time for everybody, it's actually helped boxing make better fights, and it's making people take risks when it comes to fights. But yeah, it's crazy because you do get some fighters that you think are protected by certain promoters or they're avoiding challenges. But I think all fighters ideally do want to fight. It's probably down to the business and the finance, really. I wouldn't ever question the fighters.
Yeah, certainly. I know you're a big advocate of boxers always wanting to fight each other, Jay, and I know you've said
Yeah.
that quite a few times on the channel. But the Gypsy King, Tyson, Too Fast Fury, if it is the real Gypsy King, then we're honoured to be in your presence, Tyson, but I'm not sure about that. Canelo wants 18 foot, 16 inside the ring. There is 2 feet outside. And I don't know exactly about that, about inside, outside the ring with the canvas and everything like that. But it's just these problems that are so rare. And over the past couple of days, you just don't hear about them much. So I think just a lot of us are shocked and are shocked. And the fact that it's Team Billy Joe Saunders, who some would say stubborn and some would say so motivated to get what they want and get a fair crack of the whip. I think more people were definitely worried than they was last week when it come to Derek Chisora versus Joseph Parker. Do you think that's right, Jay? Are you slightly more concerned than you was last week heading into the Chisora fight?
I don't know because they're both. I don't know. Derek's a bit more unpredictable, so you don't really know what's going to happen with Derek. So with that one, it's 50-50. But in this situation, it's 50-50. Like I say, Billy Joe Saunders is a man of his word. I think his dad's a man of his word. But also, his dad did say there is room to negotiate. He didn't actually. He said, as in that moment when he was having that interview for that 5-10 minutes, the fight was off, and he said it was off. But he said there was time to negotiate or room to negotiate. So hopefully it will. The Gypsy King, what he said there with the ring is a good point because he's asking for an 18-foot ring, but only 16 foot's going to be used to box. The other 2 foot's going to be obviously for the ring post or whatever. So the ring's going to even be smaller than what it's arranged. You know what I mean? Smaller than the 18 foot. So yeah, just let's just. I don't even know. Maybe they need to do a rule in boxing that there's a certain size ring. I don't know why there is different size rings. Maybe have a size up to British level and another size up to European level, and then at world level there's just one size. So then you would have none of this debates. Do you know what I mean? It's just a bit crazy that there's arguments about a ring, but if you just have one size ring for all world title fights, then each fight will have to adapt to that size ring. So yeah, I just think that it's a bit of a chaos, bit of a crazy situation. But the UK scared of US and Mexico. Yeah, Mexico's had some great fighters come over to the UK recently, caused some shocks, as we saw at the weekend with James Tennyson.
Yeah.
So,
as we see, Josh
Josh
Warrington as well. Josh Warrington.
Yeah.
I think Robbie Davis Jr. got beat by a Mexican recently. So I don't know about British fighters being scared of US and UK, US and Mexican, because they're coming over and that quite often they're doing a job on UK fighters. Another huge thank you to Drew Titan with their $10 donation. He says, I have no horse in the race. Stylistically, Billy's style was supposed to provide issues for Canelo. The only way to find out was to see it in the fight. I believe that the fight will still happen. Great job. Thank you very much, Drew Titan. And we just pray that it does happen, because although we spoke about before, Jay, that we are emotionally involved, and we kind of do hope that Billy Joe does it because he's the Brit and we like to back the Brit. But it's one of those fights. It's a terrifically talented, awkward southpaw boxer from the UK against the pound-for-pound king. So it's a fight that just everyone wants to see. Everyone wants to see it, and not just because it's a unification. It's a two-weight world champion in Billy Joe Saunders, and a lot of people think that even if he don't beat Canelo, he thinks that he is the man to pose him the most problems in the super middleweight division. And yeah, Jay, what do you think? Do you think he is the man that can cause problems for Canelo?
Yeah, I watched the David Lemieux fight back earlier today, and I definitely think that on that performance and the way that Billy Joe looks at the moment, I think he could cause Canelo problems. I also saw highlights of the Lara fight back as well. I wanted to have a quick look at that before we come on today against Canelo. And there's some certain movements that when Billy Joe's on top form, he can definitely do what Lara did to cause Canelo problems. But Canelo's a different animal, a different beast from back then. So you can't judge a fighter on that fight. You judge him on his last fight. And he destroyed Yildirim. He destroyed Callum Smith in that 12 rounds. So at the moment, in the last 6 months, Canelo's an absolute beast. But Billy Joe Saunders, I think he is the guy that can do it. I think if anyone is going to do it, it is Billy Joe Saunders. I think Caleb Plant is a great fighter. He's got some good hands in, slick. Very good fighter, but I think Canelo beats him. I think that obviously we saw Callum Smith get beat. Not really many other challenges out there for Canelo. I think after he beats Billy Joe Saunders, it will be Caleb Plant, and then I don't know, whatever. He might go back up to light heavyweight, maybe try and claim a few more titles there. He's already gone there once. So yeah, it's crazy stuff happening at the moment. I think that with Billy Joe, I think 100% that he needs to focus on.
Hey.
Not worry about the rings.
Sorry, James. Sorry to interrupt you. It's Kenny. Here we go, Kenny. Let's have your opinion. Go on, Ken.
Yeah, I was doing an Arsenal podcast, so yeah, and
no problem, mate. We come on a bit earlier.
Oh yeah, because I thought you came a bit earlier, and I was doing something to do with there was something because I thought it was 7:45 because I didn't realise.
Yeah.
At first it was 7:05, it was 7:45, but it's a bit earlier than normal because I'm doing something for I think to do with a mental health one about just after 9. But the reason why is that whenever there's a boxing podcast. And you know, you're talking about the fight. I just came in with a fight. You know what? Billy Joe Saunders' dad. Oh my God! I thought Tommy Fury was bad, but the accusations he's coming. What, 22-foot ring? You know, there's other stuff as well about you know, about what's happening with Canelo, about the gloves that he wraps his hands. He's been seen to wrap his hands really. What's going on, guys? What's going on?
It's crazy.
It's crazy times. It's crazy times, Kenny. Just another big shout out to Shane Jupp, another super chat. Thank you very much for £9.99. It's not the first time Canelo has had his way with a ring. Against Trout, it was reduced to 18 feet with 2 additional layers of canvas, padding put down. And I'm not entirely sure about that, but if that was the case, then it makes the argument even more that this needed to be addressed earlier. Kenny, what do you think about this? Should this have been in the contract from the start?
Yeah, definitely. I think what's happening is that everything has to be discussed during the contract. For instance, they'll have a list of demands, i.e., what colour gloves they want on gloves. They want situations about, because they're both champions, who's going to toss up for who's going to go first and who's going to go last, and things like the ring and the gloves as well, wrapping the gloves as well, and the ounces as well. Those are all things that will be discussed. And I think what's happening is that, Billy Joe Saunders is going to try and get every advantage they can, just like, a replica of what Tyson Fury did when he fought Klitschko in Germany, because at the end of the day, because of the reputation of German judges and the reputation of Klitschko, Tyson Fury was an overwhelming underdog. So he wanted to get as much as he could in order to seize the doubts in terms of fair play. And I think Billy Joe Saunders is doing something similar. I don't blame him for doing it, but really and truly, he needs to concentrate on his boxing ability rather than worrying about things that really don't concern him, to be honest.
Yeah, certainly. So do you think, Kenny, that the size of the ring won't actually affect Billy Joe's performance?
Well, to be honest, I can understand why he's saying that, because if you looked at Canelo, I was actually watching a replay of his fight with Lara. They fought 3 years ago, and Lara's a southpaw. And one thing Canelo does is that one of the reasons why Canelo, and I was watching the Callum Smith fight back again. I watched it obviously just over before Christmas. I think I watched it earlier this winter. And one of the things he does is that he cuts off the ring. He cuts the ring. He's a stalker. Yeah. Right? It gives you no room. Like, for instance, you look at, when we're talking about, what's the name? Talking about Cesaro, that one of the things that he needs to do against fighters who quick, fast hands and, quick feet, especially with a reach, is always to cut off the ring. He did that very successfully with Callum Smith and intimidated him. And maybe, like the BGS corner looks at that, so hang on here. How is he able to cut the distance so effectively? Now, the reason I want a 22-foot ring is because they want it to make it more of an effort for Canelo to cut off the ring. Because when Canelo cuts the ring, he doesn't exactly let his hands go, because what's happening is he's so quick with his defenses that what he wants to do is that he wants to go for that body and combinations, and he wants to cut off that ring, because with Billy Joe Saunders is very much a double jab man, and he's got a lot of movement as well. Well, in an 18-foot ring, he's not going to be able. He's worried about his ability to evade Canelo and his ability to create a distance between himself and Canelo. So he's actually got a good point. But I think that even if it's a 22-foot ring, Canelo's so used to being able to smother good fighters' work that I don't see it being an issue. I think Billy Joe Saunders needs to remember the game plan that him and his trainers have worked on, tips has worked on. You can't just do all of that. I think it's just a smoke for him. I think he's more than ready, and that he's there to put seeds of doubts into Canelo's mind and try and get any little advantage he thinks he's going to get.
Yeah. So Kenny, I spoke to Jay about it just before you arrived, but will you be shocked if this fight don't go ahead now? Will you be shocked or you? Go on, Kenny.
Well, the thing about it is the only way this fight don't go ahead is one of the fighters cuts himself, gets injured. Simple. This fight is going ahead. Too much money is riding, and I think at the end of the day, Billy Joe Saunders' dad isn't his business manager. He's just a concerned father, and he's trying to fight for his son. But at the end of the day, if the fight don't go ahead, then Billy Joe Saunders will be in a court And like I said, his promoter would take the call, Eddie Hearn would take the call, so would the Zone for lost TV rights, and so would the Arlington Centre as well take the call. So they don't want that. The fight's happening. All right, we may be delayed maybe 50 a minute or an hour whilst they're trying to, decide what they want to do, and they probably will go to the 11th hour. But I could tell you, this fight is happening, no doubt about that.
How different is it then, Kenny, to what we saw last week with Derek Chisora and Joseph Parker, with Derek Chisora refusing to walk out first? Obviously, I know his mum ended up sorting that out, and we've had some funny comments coming in. But is it different? Do you think this is more or less of a threat than Derek Chisora's outburst last week?
I thought Derek Chisora's been a bit unreasonable, but I think what's happened as well, it's all part, as people talking about, storyline. Benji talks about storylines. I think one of you guys met storylines, and I think what's happening is that it's all about the sort of antics you see with the WWE. I want this, I want that, the trash talking, everything. And I'm sure Derek Chisora and David Haye were reminded of their responsibility, especially their legal responsibilities, if they didn't go ahead with the fight. And I think the same thing will happen with Billy Joe Saunders as well. I think it's just mind games, which Billy Joe Saunders is very good at. You have to sort of rewind back to the Chris Eubank fight. Mind games, and Chris Eubank fell for it.
Yeah, certainly. The theme of boxing kind of being like WWE is like reoccurring quite a bit on these live streams, and obviously there's been a lot of things made out of the whole scenarios of people arguing, creating these little storylines. Jay, are you a fan of this, or are you much more of a boxing fan that just wants the fights?
I don't mind a storyline if it's real. I like the real storylines. When there's a real beef, when they actually really hate each other, then that gets your imagination going, doesn't it? That builds the fight. That gives you that anticipation for fight night, for the first bell to go. But when it's antics like the ring, like, it's just deflating more than anything. It doesn't enhance the fight. For me, it's just like getting everyone now like worried about the fight not happening instead of looking forward to the fight. There's meant to be the first face-off today. That would have been something good to see Billy Joe Saunders face-to-face with Canelo for the first time. I would have been intrigued to see that, the size difference, see what shape Billy looked in next to him. But instead, it's the mind games. But I agree with Kenny, it's definitely going ahead. There's 100% it's definitely going ahead. You would have had an announcement straight away as soon as the statement come out from Tom Saunders, from DAZN or Eddie, that it was either going to happen or not happen. You've had nothing. So as it stands, fight will go ahead. And I've just seen on the TV just then that Canelo's done an interview saying that it's not the first excuse Saunders has made. So I'll be intrigued to see that later, to see what other stuff Canelo's got to say about Billy Joe Saunders. But yeah, it will happen. And
sorry.
Kenny?
The thing that made me laugh is he's responded to it. He's responded to it. That's part of the Saunders game. He's responded.
Yeah.
You shouldn't respond.
Well, what about you then, Kenny? Are you a fan of this WWE-esque storyline invention? Do you think it's good for the sport?
Well, I think the problem is that you have to sell the sport, and you have to, I think in all sorts of physical combat activities, whether it's judo, karate, boxing, MMA, everyone needs a bad guy. You need a bad guy. WWE, you have the baby face and then you have the heels. Everyone needs a bad guy. And I think in terms of like the characters, what's happened is that, Mayweather was a bad guy. Chris Eubank Sr. was a bad guy. Tyson Fury's had his era of being a bad guy. Tully Bellew used to be a bad guy as well. David Hayes not like, Soros not like. And I think storylines have been going on for time. You always hear a bit about, for instance, two fighters spar, and both can give different versions of how it went.
Mm-hmm.
I boys you up.
Yeah,
and
certainly.
You were on one knee. Release the footage. Where is the footage? You see the footage? It's nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That situation. And I think what's happened is that you know, someone like Conor McGregor, what he's doing in the UFC is transcending to boxing because simple reasons that boxing needs characters.
Mm.
And I think, I'm not saying there ain't enough for them, but I say it's the greatest respect to the lovely and adorable Katie Taylor. God, she's boring. I'm so sorry. But she is, isn't it? She's a superstar and everyone loves her. But Jesus Christ, how can you hate her? But then again, you had a situation where you got this blonde from Australia, and she's basically like throwing her weight around and getting herself noticed and saying, "Look, I'm here. I'm trying to promote the sport.
Yeah.
I'm doing you a lot of favour."
Yeah.
And what she's done is that she's basically planted the seed and think, right, half the women are going to hate me, and half the women are going to love me. I.e., her fight with Shannon Courtney. Shannon Courtney as well divides opinion amongst boxing fans. There's a lot of people who like her lose because they think she's had an advantage. So that's what you've always really wanted in terms of, you know, this sort of storyline. There's beef. We love beef. We love beef.
Yeah.
Like
Just
if
not
Tyson
juicy
Fury-
Mexican beef.
Yeah, not juicy Mexican. You know what? You're going out when we talk about fight. You know what the situation. No, come on.
Yeah.
You and I would love it, right? You and I would love it, right? If Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo had a little dust up head to head, and then one of them threw water in the other's face, or one threw a slap, or you see Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, and they're all both flying across the table. Come on, admit it. Didn't you love it when Pulev fought Derek Chisora and they put their heads together, and then Derek Chisora's trying to grapple with him? We all loved it. It's something to fight.
Like Chisora with the table as well.
Yeah,
it's
like, the table at the right.
That for me, look how viewed that is. Look how viewed that is, Kenny. So,
of course, it's still there. It's millions. And let's not forget what happened in Munich with David Kay gate crashing a press conference, a post-fight press conference. Look what happened there. That led to him making even more money at Upton Park 6 months later, 5 months later.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I you know me, I love it.
Yeah, no.
Muhammad Ali started it, didn't he? Back in the day.
Yeah,
it's not just started.
It's always been going on, and it's just great selling points. And like we've all said, we hope this is a selling point, and we hope this isn't real, but there is a possibility it could. So anyway, guys, hit that subscribe button, Pep Talk UK. Smash the like button, share this live stream with your friends. Big news tonight. There is some question marks over the huge fight at the weekend between Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo Alvarez. It's one of the biggest fights of the year, and we all pray that it goes ahead. Rudy Ortiz says, Go on, Kenny.
Can I interrupt you? So I've just missed it because I'm doing a football podcast. So basically, Tom Saunders has called the fight off, has he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so did you see the interview yesterday, Kenny?
I couldn't miss it. It was just basically
okay. So there's two interviews now with Tom Saunders, and they're both saying that they aren't budging. It's not in the contract, and if it's not sorted by the end of today, they're packing their bags and leaving America, pretty much.
Oh right, leaving America.
Yeah, they're packing the bags, and they will be leaving Dallas, and they will not have a fight. And Tom Saunders accused Canelo of just not wanting the Billy Joe fight, and just they're going to bring someone else in. And he's saying, make sure you get refunds for your tickets, make sure you get refunds for your subscriptions for the zone. So it is slightly worrying. And Rudy Ortiz says,
I've just got up here. It's at Talk Sport.
Yeah.
I've just got it up here. So I'm just reading it now. So you just read that super chat, and I'll just
no problem, mate. Does Billy want to run a marathon? If his movement is so good, he could do it that well in 18 foot. I believe it was 18 foot when he fought Lara as well. Jay, it's a reoccurring theme. Obviously, the 18, the 16, the 20, the 22 foot, the 24 foot rings. I've never known so many measurements of rings. It's incredible, but
crazy.
But could it make that much of a difference, Jay? Can it make that much? Could it be the difference of winning and losing?
Well, it's a big difference from 24 foot or 22 foot. So
Yeah.
If you work that out going all around the ring, that is a big difference. It's Billy Joe's style, like we've already alluded to. It's he wants to get in and get out. He don't want to be stood there in the pocket with Canelo all evening, or even getting stuck on the ropes. You know, Canelo likes to hunt you down, get you on the ropes. I've seen some of his shots in his recent fights where he goes for your arms and your shoulders, adding that to his arsenal. You saw Callum Smith's shoulder. Yeah, it's crazy. If you go back to what Tom Saunders said as well, like some of the ways he'd been treated, I think saying that he had to get his own tickets and that his team to fly out, and that Eddie Hearn and that didn't even provide. I don't know how true that is. Then the agreement, it was 15,000 fans, and then it got changed to 70,000 fans. So then that would probably change your mindset if you're Billy Joe Saunders, because you've got more fans in there for Canelo.
But you know, Jake,
yeah.
sorry to cut you, but don't you think that in terms of like Eddie Hearn and Tom Saunders have always had a bit of a history, and this is, we're talking 4 years ago, where there was a first bit of problems in terms of like between himself and Billy Joe Saunders, and even when Eddie Hearn became his promoter, it was always the case that Tom Saunders didn't think that Eddie Hearn was working hard enough to get the fights for Billy Joe that that he left Queensbury Promotions to get. So it's a recurring theme. Like, you don't really hear Billy Joe slagging off his promoter, but you hear people close to Billy Joe, like Tyson Fury, one of his best mates, and his dad, who think he'll hang on it. Eddie Hearn's doing a Don King on him. Yeah.
Eddie Hearn's only apparently spoke to him 3 times. That's what Tom Saunders said. He said he's only spoke to Eddie Hearn on 3 occasions, all business. He says he don't know him personally. It's a bit of, where is his dad as well? He's going to obviously have that biasness towards Billy Joe Saunders. It's a bit like John Fury with Tyson. I see Ben Davison on the James English podcast talking about that.
I'm halfway through that one.
Yeah, he said that.
Same here.
Didn't really agree with his the way he was treating Tyson, or the way his methods were, or whatever. So it's when you get family involved, it's always a bit touchy. So I just think he's just looking out for his son. Eddie's never really had any issues with any other shows before. He's always provided good shows. You don't really normally hear these with a Matchroom show. So I think it's mind games. Tyson Fury done it. Billy Joe's doing it. I think we all know what's happening here. So yeah, just it's just
I've got some more news coming in, actually. Just see Michael Benson tweet saying John Ryder is flying out to Texas tomorrow and has declared that he is willing to jump in and face Canelo if Billy Joe Saunders refuses to fight over the ring dispute. Ryder was training for a fight in June and set to fly out for promotional work regardless. And that's according to @Boxing News Ed. So I don't know, but that's throwing a bit more into the mix. John Ryder flying out, obviously super middleweight contender. Kenny, could you make anything of this?
Well, yeah, of course I can. I think what's happening is that it is viable. He is a matchroom fighter, and he has got world title with it experience. He put a very good fight against Cameron Smith, so it is viable. Why I say that? Because at the end of the day, whatever happens, the fight has to go ahead, and they need to have world championship boxing. Canelo has to fight, because if they don't, there's going to be a riot. And so that is another angle, and I think that's a lot of that is to do with Eddie Hearn as well. Just thinking, are you ready? Are you ready? Tom Saunders is causing a lot of havoc. You know how he talks. Tom Saunders is causing a lot of havoc. I need you out there and be ready. You up for it? Are you on the same page? Yeah, he flies out, and I think that's the thing. You have to prepare for everything, because at the end of the day, things happen. But normally fighters stop fighting because of injury, rather than something silly. But in terms of what Jay was talking about as well, about the size of the rings as well, and you as well, I was looking more into it, and you guys are both right. It's Billy Joe's sort of in and out kind of style, in and out, move his head and dancing side to side, because I think what's happening, it's all about frustration, and I think that's the thing. He'll get you eventually, but you don't want to. You want to be in a situation, because I think what's happening is that you're talking about probably one of the greatest fighters of all time, where basically he actually can neutralise your strengths, i.e., reach, southpaw stance, or anything. And a lot of that is to do with him cramping you for room. If you've got no leverage for your punches, you can't. You know what I mean? You can't do your best work.
Can't hear you, Joe. Can you hear me, Ken?
Yeah, I can hear you. Joe's got to take his mic off. He's put himself
Hear me
on
now?
mute. Yeah, you
Yeah,
put
can
yourself
hear
on
you
mute.
now, Joe.
Sorry, the earphones just disconnected there, so it muted me. What do you make of it, John Ryder? What do you think? Could he come over? And is that a possibility?
Well, the key part of that statement was that John Ryder's already coming over promotional work, so he was already coming over. So maybe Eddie might have had a word just saying, look, if anything does happen here, because look, it could happen. Look, it could happen. It's been put out there. Maybe saying you're coming over, what's your weight like? Would you be willing to step in if anything does happen? Obviously, we've seen Billy Joe Saunders fight John Ryder before early in his career. Like Kenny said, he fought Callum Smith, which was a good fight. Obviously, the fans ain't going to be as up for it as that fight, but
yeah,
obviously there will be a fight if that does happen. But I just think it's a bit of paper talk, maybe a bit of a spice things up about. He was coming out anyway for promotional work. So it's not like it'd be a different story if he wasn't coming out and he is coming out, because you think, then why is he coming out? There's got to be a reason.
yeah.
But he was already coming out anyway, so I wouldn't really go too much on that. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't even want to think about another fight. I'm up for Billy Joe Saunders Canelo. It's the biggest fight of the year. The biggest fight I've been looking forward to for a long time. So I'm still praying it goes ahead.
Oh yeah, we all are, and we all hope they do. Go on, Kenny. Was you going to say something there, mate?
Well, the thing about it is that really and truly, another thing as well, you know, everyone talks about mind games in any sort of combat sport, especially boxing. And the way Billy Joe Saunders and his team are going ahead, they're going ahead like they've already lost a fight. They're
Right.
talking about they've already lost a fight. They're talking about, like, you and I know, right? And we're you know, like I said, we want everything to be fair, and but Canelo's the home fighter, so he's going to get every advantage in terms of what he wants. He's a champion as well. He's a multi-weight champion as well. He is the A side, so the A side always get what they want. No matter whether Eddie promotes Billy Joe Saunders as anything, he also promotes Canelo for a part of the design deal as well. So it's one of those things where there's no winners end. To be honest, Eddie Hearn has actually enabled Canelo to get all those titles because you know, if you think about it, you had Rocky Fielding, who does the occasion promotion for him, and you've got Callum Smith promoted by Eddie Hearn, and now you've got Billy Joe Saunders. So what's happened is that he's got Danny Jacobs as well. So he's basically got champions out there in order to give you know, like Canelo Alvarez a portfolio of belts. So really, Billy Joe Saunders is no different. Just because they're British, Canelo makes Eddie Hearn more money than Billy Joe Saunders. That's the dirty thing about the whole situation. It's just a fact. It's not great, but there's an element of truth in what Tyson Fury has said. But Tyson Fury is a businessman. He knows this, the whole situation.
Well, Eddie can't play his cards, can he? Because I don't know how many fights Billy Joe Saunders has left with Matchroom, but obviously Eddie Hearn, if Canelo wins, obviously that's his cash cow, isn't it? It's like he's other Joshua, so he can't really. You can tell he's not really committed to anyone really in this fight. He's literally sat on the fence, but it's bit him in the backside because obviously Billy Joe Saunders is quite an outspoken fighter, and he's publicly put out there like, you haven't backed me as much as I feel you should have. But I think Eddie's just playing it safe, because if he backs Billy Joe Saunders and then doesn't get any more fights with Canelo, as a promoter, he's thinking, I ain't done my job. But obviously he wants the biggest name fighter out there to continue doing what he does, because at the end of the day, that's Eddie's job to be a promoter. So to him, he wants the biggest fighters. So
can I ask you a question? You know, when you think straight, I've got a question for both of you, because obviously I know you're the thing, but it's something that came to my mind. I think it's highly relevant to the fight we think we're going to watch on Saturday. Do you think that Eddie Hearn feels that he finds it very difficult to promote Billy Joe Saunders in terms of, you know, not so much as i.e. getting him fights, but in terms of the likability factor, or the interest factor in terms of like interest in this country, because he's a British fighter, we're British, and we want him to do well. And in terms of trying to sell him to the States, because obviously Andrade is hard to promote because no one wants to fight because he's an awkward sod. And we know Billy Joe Saunders falls in that category, but I think there's other aspect as well in terms of a commercial thing aspect as well that maybe we're overlooking in terms of why the relationship seemingly isn't as strong with Billy Joe Saunders and Eddie Hearn.
Yeah, no, I think that you make a good point there, Kenny. I think he could certainly have difficulties, just like Frank did, and that may be why he couldn't get the fights. Because at the end of the day, there could be a lot of factors that stack up against him. Because, like you said, he probably doesn't have the most entertaining style. He's a very outspoken person. As we've seen, he can be extremely controversial. With obviously the videos we know he's been fined for. Don't want to bring them up really, but yeah, you got to. He's done some bad videos, probably distasteful videos, should we say, and that probably did lead to sponsors pulling out, maybe concern from broadcasters. So, but you got to give it to Eddie, because at the start of lockdown last year, when Billy brought out another distasteful video, should we say, about domestic violence, Eddie stuck by him. I think that's pretty key. I don't know what you think, Jay.
Yeah, no, I think what Kenny was saying, I think it's not a problem for Eddie Hearn to promote Billy Joe Saunders. He promotes himself. Sometimes bad press is press, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's just getting his name out there. I think the most difficult thing for Billy Joe Saunders, I think he is probably quite an avoided fighter, just due to his style, his southpaw. I think a lot of times probably people haven't wanted to fight Billy Joe Saunders because he is a world class fighter. Look at the David Lemieux fight. David Lemieux was known as a big puncher, and he just schooled him for the whole fight. So yeah, I don't think the issues are maybe so much with Billy Joe's personality in that, even though it could come across negative. Some promoters like that. You know what I mean? It sells itself. Billy Joe Saunders doesn't really need selling for Eddie Hearn. But what I think the issue is like I say, it's down to the co-promotion. That's what Eddie's finding difficult. He's got Canelo, who's the cash cow, who he wants to work with in the future. And then he's got the Brit, Billy Joe Saunders, who's obviously he's the promoter for. But look, I don't think Billy Joe Saunders will stick with Eddie Hearn after this fight. So I think that's the position. I agree
100%. I agree with you on that.
Eddie knows that. And I think if Eddie knows that, to Eddie, look, we've got to put ourselves in Eddie's shoes. He's going to go with Canelo because Canelo's going to make him more money and going to be with him going forward. So you see Canelo's happy. You see the other day he put a statement out about Golden Boy, how bad it was up with Oscar De La Hoya. Canelo looks really happy with Eddie Hearn. You've seen him speak English. He's doing more media work. I really like that side of Canelo. I think it's bringing a different side to him that people haven't seen before. A likeable factor. Yeah, I think he's definitely sat on the fence, but I know his reasons for it. I think it's because he knows that he probably wants to work with Canelo again in the future, and if he starts bad-mouthing Canelo or being a bit disrespectful, Eddie has. Look at when David Haye fought Tony Bellew. You can see that Eddie Hearn, when he's passionate for one of his fighters, he can give it to the other fighter. So it's not out of the ordinary for Eddie to do that. But in this fight, I think Eddie's just going business mind. In his heart, he probably wants Billy Joe Saunders to win. He's known him a long time. He's a British fighter. But business-wise and for Matchroom, they want Canelo to win, and that's just the be-all and end-all. So that's business, I'm afraid.
No, certainly. Guys, hit that subscribe button, Pep Talk UK. Keep the comments coming in. We'll go through some now. Smash the like button. Martin McTaggart's comment says, Billy Joe Saunders is up against it all, fighting in front of 70,000 hostile fans, 18-foot ring. It's a joke. Canelo is meant to be the pound-for-pound best. So just give him his 22-foot ring. Well, just to address the 70,000 hostile fans, Billy Joe's come out in the past 48 hours saying that he's going to feed off that. That's going to make him perform even better. Kenny, what do you think? Do you reckon that these fans could really push Billy Joe to go that one step further, try and dig in that 1 bit deeper to pull off the massive upset?
Well, the thing about it is I don't think the fans will have any aspect, because Billy Joe Saunders, he loves it. Trust me, he'll feed off that negative. I agree with you on that. He wouldn't bother him. He'll feed off that. He'll love it, to be honest. And he'll love the fact that he's causing havoc. But I think in terms of what Billy Joe Saunders is talking about, you know, when I think about it, you know, he's prepared for that and blah blah. But I again, I can only go back to what I when I was going through like the tapes of Canelo's fights, the Canelo fight and the fight with Lara as well. He's a southpaw. There is a method in the madness from Tom Saunders in terms of like Canelo's ringmanship, and a lot of his Canelo's ringmanship is his ability to educate pressure without actually hitting you. And there's nothing more pressurized than basically someone standing in front of you and basically not giving you any room or any leverage. And I think that's why I can understand them wanting a big ring, because the end of the day, we all know what Billy Joe's tactics are going to be. You know it, Joe, and you know it, Jay. You know exactly what it's going to be. Yeah. It's going to be like a right jab, hit out, maybe an uppercut, and then he'll go like that, in and out, and he'll dance away. And Canelo will throw a right hand, and he wants him to miss, so have a glass of blood. What Canelo wants to do is that he wants to go like that, because he wants to sort of counter the right jab, and he's looking to not just stand in front of him, but he's also looking to move his head in order to avoid the double jab. But what he wants to do, he doesn't want any distance for that jab. He wants to basically be in front of you, so you can't. So you know, Billy Joe Saunders is 5'10.5", isn't he? And Canelo's about 5'9",
5'10", 5'11", yeah.
Yeah, so I suppose that Canelo's got a 70 inch reach, and Billy Joe's got 72. So Billy Joe will want to do that, and then do that, obviously, a different way, like that, dang. And I think that's where Canelo can't afford Billy Joe to do that, because it's not going to happen. I'm telling you now, Billy Joe Saunders has to be able to fight that way. Don't go. He can't engage with Canelo as much as we would love him to do as fight fans. He can't be doing that. If he engages with Canelo, then he's getting knocked out.
Right. Okay. So that's a bit of a prediction early on there, Kenny. If you think if he engages with him, if he tries to make it a bit of an inside fight, take the fight to him, then that will go against Billy Joe.
Yeah, I generally believe that, because I think what's happened is that you look at Billy Joe, you only have to look at the good things he does, and one of the good things is the hand speed. But it's not the hand speed; he's got good feet, very good feet. Canelo has got good movement, but his feet are heavy. You know what I mean? And you're like, sometimes when you have, like David Chisora, he's heavy. His foot is heavy. But one thing Canelo compensates for his heavy legs approach is Canelo's got amazing fitness, an amazing engine, and he's got a huge work rate, and he throws a huge. Obviously he throws a lot of punches, and in terms of like accuracy and the ability to outland his opponent, he's one of the best in the world at it. So that's why, you don't want Canelo to have. You don't want Canelo to crack you for room.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Shane Jupp, big shout out. Another super chat. Thank you very much. Another $9.99. The thing is, Bill has no doubt been sparring and training a 22-foot ring to if that was verbally agreed, now it's cut down in size, it will cause mayhem for his movement. But I think a big thing there, Jay, is in business, very often you can't trust verbal agreements. It needs to be in paper. And that is what could play a huge part in the negotiations for this change in ring size, Jay.
Well, look, it's meant to be one of the biggest fights of the year. It's to be the unified world champion. I think the Ring magazine title's on the line. Something like this should have been done right at the beginning. Something so small. before every fight, it should be said in the contract, this is the size ring. So then it gives the guys a chance to train in whatever size ring. We spoke earlier, for world title fights, there should be one size ring all round. So then there's no arguments anytime. All fighters, then they knows what the ring is. They get used to that. Different size rings for different fights is ludicrous. You don't see football players or fighting playing on different size football pitches, do they, for different type matches? Like they don't get a bigger pitch for the Champions League or something. Like it's just crazy. There should be one size ring and that should be it. But yeah, it will cause mayhem for his movement. But I think it's going to get settled on a 20-foot ring. You know what Canelo's going to do. You know if he gets on the inside with Billy Joe. You've seen the uppercut from Canelo. That looks really dangerous in his last couple of fights. Billy Joe's going to have to use his jab, like Kenny said, use his jab and then spin his way out like he did in the Lemieux fight. It's a fight where you know what both guys tactic-wise it's going to be, but it's just seeing what styles, how they gel. See if Canelo can cut down the ring and see if Billy Joe can avoid the big punches all night. So that's why everyone's so intrigued. It's a 50-50 fight. It's a massive fight. This fight and the AJ Fury fight are the two biggest fights that I've been looking forward to for probably the last 2 years. I don't know about you guys. So that's how big the fight is, I think. I think it's so big.
Yeah, no, it's huge, and that's why everyone wants it to go ahead. Kingdom says they clearly both know how to train, so in their camp, etc., they will have things their way and do certain things, and obviously what they've trained for and set out in camp is what they want on the night. And I'm just going to put another comment in there with Dragon on the West. Canelo is the cash cow, so bearing in mind, Kenny, that what King Dom's saying about there being, obviously they want their ways from how they've been trading, and keep in mind Canelo is the cash cow. Does that make him put it within its rights to say no, I want this side of the ring, or should it be fair, Kenny?
Look, yeah, I look at it. I look at the situation. The guy is the A side gets his own way. He gets to go out last. He picks. You know, they agree the gloves over, but ultimately, Canelo is all going to. Canelo would be a fool to have a bigger ring, as far as I'm concerned. He'll work around it, but why? If you can get an advantage where you can cramp your opponent up for room, if I was Canelo, 18-foot rings all day long, man. You know what I mean? I'm sure Callum Smith has got a lot to say about that ring. Maybe Billy Joe Saunders is a camp. We've looked at the Callum Smith fight and went, how the hell could someone who's 6'3" with an extremely large reach and one of the probably best body punchers from long range in the business not be able to get his punches off? There would be I'd be speaking to like Joe Gallagher and speaking to the Smith brothers. And the Smith brothers would have been filling in Jimmy Tibbs in about the whole situation. Hang on here, not us. You know what I mean? And the same. Look at his fight with Kovalev. I saw the fight with Kovalev, 11th round. I did no disrespect, right? But I still don't understand how Kovalev ran out of room. But Canelo successfully. That ring looks small to me.
It did look small. Thinking about it now, it did look small, yeah.
I think now more people were going to be looking out for how big the ring is for Canelo fights and Billy Joe fights, looking over their past fights. And guys, keep your comments coming in. We're going to run for about another 15 minutes because we've got so much Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo content coming for you.
I've just seen online.
Come on, Jay.
On IFL, Canelo interview, fight on. He has to fight Saturday. Canelo reassures everyone the fight is on. So I don't know.
That is reassuring, isn't it?
I've not seen it yet. Obviously, after we do this, I'll probably have a look on there. But yeah, on IFL, I've just seen it on there 53 minutes ago. Oh no, not IFL. Behind the Gloves. Sorry.
Behind the Gloves.
53 minutes ago, fight on Canelo. He has to fight Saturday. Canelo reassures everyone. So. Until I see it, I don't know. But from that headline, it seems like Canelo's telling people the fight's on. So,
yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Just see it as well. Yeah, it's a 5-minute snippet with Oh, you talk about Michelle Phelps. That's George Phelps.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, behind the gloves. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Whilst Kenny's looking for that, hit the like button, guys.
I've got it up. I've got it up already. I don't think they're talking to her in general, but it could be just like someone behind the scene, not actually hearing the voices, because obviously I've got my headphones for this. But yeah, Canelo's saying, Canelo, if you get the picture, he says, fight on, has to fight Saturday, and he's just reassuring everyone, and same sort of thing. So one camp is saying the fight's off, and the other camp is saying no, it's on. So
yeah,
again.
So there we go. Up to date news, absolutely brilliant. Let's get this fight on. Let's hope we do get to see it Saturday night, and we'll have plenty of coverage throughout the week, discussing predictions, discussing weight, discussing the venue, discussing everything, and the undercard, because there's a stacked undercard which I can't wait to watch. Also, just before we finish this up, about 10-15 minutes left, we're gonna get through a load of questions. Matthew Hosner says, life's not fair when you're on the B side. You've got to roll with the proverbial punches if he wants to be king. Jay, is it right that he's got to roll with these proverbial punches if he wants to dethrone the king?
Well, yeah, when you're the B side, you're always going to get the short straw, aren't you, on everything?
But they're both champions.
Yeah, they're both champions, but like it's like the dispute with everyone with Tyson Fury and Joshua, don't they? Joshua has 4 belts, Fury has 1. That's the argument there, isn't it? That's what people go with. Canelo's got the other titles and the Ring Magazine title. And if you look at their resumes, look at Billy Joe Saunders. World level, he's probably only fought David Lemieux and Andy Lee, if I'm correct. I think that's probably the biggest fighters he's had. If you look at Canelo, you go from Callum Smith, Kovalev, Jacobs, Triple G twice, Amir Khan, Lara, Floyd Mayweather, Cotto. The resume is unreal, isn't it, for Alvarez? So you got to say Alvarez is the A side coming into it. Billy Joe Saunders is up against it. His last fight, Martin Murray, is that great preparation for Alvarez, but the shape that Billy Joe Saunders is in at the moment, it's the best shape I've ever seen him, to be honest. He looks focused. He looks like he's committed 100%. I think he's in better shape than the Lemieux fight, and that was a weight below. So I think he's probably filled out in the super middleweight now. He's been in there, isn't it, about a year or two since he fought Asafi for the title, which I didn't think he looked in great shape, to be honest, in that fight. Or the fight after that. So, yeah, B side, you're always going to get a short straw, like I said, and just look at the resumes. I think Canelo's definitely the A side.
Yeah, certainly. I'm just trying to find a comment here. It says, Woody, the A, B sides should only count for money and nothing else, which is a good point, because obviously it's a lot about money, but then when it starts becoming about fairness, about this ring sizes, about ring walks, and all of the nitty gritty stuff that we discussed that's going to be in the small print of the contract, then there needs to be an element of fairness. And King Dom says, what are your guys' predictions if the fight goes ahead? And King Dom, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and we will do a predictions video later on in the week. So we won't give that away now, guys. You'll have to come back to Pep Talk UK for that one. Just a little lure, just to lure them in there. Yeah, little teaser. And says, Billy is no fool. He has something up his sleeves. Trust me. And we all hope that is the case. LV Verdell says, it will be a fair fight. The only thing is that Billy Joe is already complaining and giving excuses that looks very bad on him. Kenny, is he getting the excuses ready about the raps, about the...
I want to change things.
No problem. I'll ask you the same question, Joe. I know we kind of went over it earlier, but is he getting those excuses ready?
No, I think it's all part of the mind games and that. Excuses a bit harsh. I think Billy Joe Saunders is a fair man. I think if he loses, then it's a fair fight. He'll say he lost fairly, but maybe Billy Joe's a wind up. Maybe he's doing this so Eddie's worrying. You know what I mean? It could be like one of them. Because if you think about it, Eddie said the other day that he hopes to announce the Fury AJ fight on that card. I saw after
Again, another massive talking point we'll probably be talking about later on in the week.
He'll want this fight to happen because he's probably going to announce it just before it or just after it, or probably just before, I would have thought, to build up the main event. You've got Tyson Fury attending.
Yeah.
It could be anything. It could be anything. I just think it's mind games. The fight's going to go ahead. Yeah, I'm quite excited. Like you say, some good fights on the undercard. You've got Kieran Conway from the UK, so people tune in for the undercard. Don't just tune in for the main event.
Certainly.
Kenny's back now, is he?
I'm back. Yeah. Kenny, you're back.
He's back.
Is Billy Joe making excuses? Is he lining up all the excuses already? Maybe with judges, maybe with the ring sides, maybe with the ham wraps. Is it getting the excuses ready, or is it genuinely mind games, or genuinely worried about the fight being fair?
Well, yeah, he's going to definitely be worried about the fight being fair because simple reason is that he's on his fault. He knows that, you know, Canelo brings a lot to the table, and a lot of people lose a lot. Well, people lose money if Canelo don't win, and I think that's the thing with boxing. You know, there's too many interest groups in that are at play, and at the end of the day, it's about Canelo winning this match, this title bout, and yeah, Billy Joe does have a point, but you've got to realise that the adage in boxing as well, and we saw even at the weekend, to beat the champion, you have to rip the title from him, and that's what Billy Joe's going to have to do. So there are going to be scorecards that Billy Joe ain't going to like. So he ain't seen nothing yet.
Certainly. Macy V says Billy is all talk. It's unprofessional. Jay, is Billy Joe acted unprofessional?
I think it's quite clever from Billy Joe Saunders. It's his dad making all the statements. You've not actually heard anything from Billy Joe.
Yeah,
I saw an interview with Billy Joe Saunders with Michelle Phelps, and he was saying that he had a chat with Eddie. Everything's all right with Eddie. It was a bit of a misunderstanding. I think the relationship with Eddie and Billy Joe is better than Eddie's relationship with Tom.
Yeah,
Billy Joe's dad. But I think, like we heard in the interview, that they've only spoke 3 times, and it's always been about business. Maybe it's just misunderstanding on their part. So Billy ain't unprofessional. He's quite clever. He's got his dad to do it, so it's not really, you can't really fall back on Billy Joe, to be honest. It's not going to be like, well, he said it. It's his dad that's come out and said it. So it's quite clever there from Billy Joe Saunders, I think.
Yeah, no. What about you, Kenny? Is he acting unprofessional or not?
Not at all. There's no look. At the end of the day, we want characters in boxing. We say boxing is all about M&A, and you know, professionalism. They always cry for it, but we love a bit of drama, and Billy Joe's created a lot of drama. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, it's about selling the fight. You've got to sell. Tickets have been sold, but you still have to sell the fight to people in the United States, to sell the fight to people in Britain. You want it to be a big fight. People staying up late in this country, people tuning in prime time in the United States. So you want a situation where they're going to be, people are going to take an interest in the fight. And, you know, Billy Joe Saunders, I suppose with his antics, he's become he's revving up a lot of Canelo fans, and you know, you've got to love it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that this whole thing about promotional content, especially with the zone, because if the news is right about Eddie Hearn shifting over to the zone, then this fight needs to be big in gaining subscribers for the zone. And we was actually talking about in our show about Eddie joining the zone about the lack of advertisement. Like, you don't see the zone billboards up. And funny enough, I actually did see the zone billboard up. I drove past the zone billboard. It was on an electric, huge billboard for Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders. So maybe we should start shifting and seeing, and keep your eye out for them, guys. Let us know if you do see any big zone billboards, because up until now, really, we haven't had. We've had very limited advertisement for the zone. Jason Mardonio Meza says, if Billy Joe gets in a 24-foot ring and runs all night, it will be a boring fight. Well, this is interesting then, because we've said how big it is for the British fighters, but Jay, would you rather a boring fight and Billy Joe wins, or a classic and
Canelo just gets it?
Obviously, I want Billy Joe Saunders to win, so obviously that would be ideal for me. But boxing's about the art of hitting and not be hit. Do you know what I mean? Everyone gets so caught up in the knockouts. The heavyweights cause a lot of scenes with the big knockouts. Sometimes I just like a boxing clinic. Do you know what I mean? Like you saw in a David Lemieux fight. I got just as much excitement in that fight as I did with a knockout. You saw skills there. You saw the early shuffle. You saw in and
Yeah.
out. You saw the great southpaw stance. It was just fantastic. Sometimes you get fights where you just sit there and you just admire the work that the guy's doing. So in some eyes, it will be boring, but for me, I can enjoy boxing when it's the art of boxing is being done. Obviously, I enjoy a knockout, but I appreciate slick boxers as well. Everyone's got a style they prefer. At the weekend, we saw Del Boy with the come forward style. Some people like that. I enjoy that as well. I enjoy all styles, but I'm just saying that Billy Joe's style could be classed as boring to some people, but I enjoy it. I enjoy the quality of the work he does, and I don't think it'd be a boring fight. I think Canelo's a good fighter. He will cut down the ring no matter what size it is. He's always going to get some work going. It's going to be an entertaining fight, whatever sort of ring. You can see it in a street fight, you can see it in a cage, you can see it anywhere. So, do you know what I mean? It's going to be a good fight.
Certainly. And we've just seen Anthony Fowler. I've just seen this pop up. He's put his post on Instagram saying Canelo was taking the piss with this ring size, and I don't know if you can see that there, but it looks rather small. It looks rather small. I don't know what exactly ring size that is, whether that's the 16 foot or the 18 foot, but it does look rather small, which is that's sort of surely got to be a joke. Surely, I think that's got to be because that is ridiculously small. But so hopefully it is all humorous, and hopefully it does get made, and hopefully it is just the WWE-esque. He said, you said, and all that. And we do get a great fight. Martin McTaggart says Billy Joe Saunders has the better footwork, hand speed, very awkward, and better ring IQ. Canelo has the better power, but Billy Joe Saunders has never hit the canvas before and has the heart of a lion. All these aspects of why we love this fight and why we just hope and pray it happens. And RS says, does size matter? Jack Obelisk says, fight is on. Canelo and Reynoso say size don't matter. So here we go. Again, it's going to turn comical. If it gets drawn out and it doesn't happen, it will get comical. But thanks, guys, everyone, for watching. I think we'll close it up now because, as we say, we've got so much to cover. And first of all, Kenny, what's your final thoughts on this before we close up? And what's your final thoughts on the fight week in general?
Well, most importantly, I think the issue is going to be ongoing. You know, like I said, it's going to go to the 11th hour. I say myself that I'm looking forward to fight week as well, because nowadays a lot of the fighters I ain't seen for a while, so I'm going to be looking for that. I've got the zone now. I'm probably going to watch it on this machine, on this implement that I'm using now for our podcast. But as I said, I am looking forward to it, and obviously I'm looking forward to the main event. My advice to Billy Joe Saunders, whatever you do, make sure that you get your punches out, because I've seen many a fighter catch someone with one big punch and still losing the judges' scorecard because of output. Lack of output is a killer in modern day boxing, especially with the judges nowadays we have.
Yeah, no, certainly. Guys, thanks for watching. As ever, thank you so much for joining me, J Alby and Kenny Ken. Jay, where can people find you?
Follow me on Instagram, JAlby1989, and obviously on Pep Talk UK. And yeah, cheers for having me. Like I say, a lot of stuff to talk this week, and let's get on with it.
Lovely. Kenny, where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram, listening to a bit of jungle music, watching the football, and also they can find me at Pep Talk UK and Twitter. And my closing remark is one thing I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's lockdown or measures or not, or COVID-19. There are so many sporting talking points, out
Yeah.
there that sometimes the action is actually irrelevant. Like for instance, today with the Billy Joe Saunders thing, you know, we're getting more column inches about whether we fight or not. Maybe the fight, maybe a dismal affair to certain people. And look at it, Joshua versus Tyson Fury. You know, yeah, you know, we're still talking about it. Eddie Hearn's still asking questions about it. You know, there's so much talking points yet, and sometimes the actual, you know, the card is the sideshow now, and that's why we have shows like this that we can still talk about the issues, and you know, talk about the sport we love.
Certainly. Thanks very much. And if you're still on the live, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for your likes, thanks for your wonderful comments and all your super chats. And make sure you stick around, because in approximately half an hour time, there is a big interview being released on Pet Talk UK with two-time lightweight world title challenger and all-round fantastic guy, Kevin Mitchell, discussing his thoughts on the huge fight at the weekend. But
what a
next
legend.
Time,
nice guy. He's a nice bloke.
Yeah,
Nice
what
bloke.
a great guy. Until next time, thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.